and welcome to the Dark Side of Soul podcast. This is Joe.
This is Shawn.
I'd like to welcome you. It is summer in Korea. Not officially summer by the Gregorian calendar, but...
Not scientifically, not by the sun.
Yeah, it's summer. Okay, this is how I know it's summer. Okay, so we go through spring, we go through the strings of flowers. We start with the tiny yellow flowers, then the magnolias, then the cherry blossoms, then the azalea. Was it the azaleas are next? The azaleas really mean spring. That's around the time of Buddha's birthday.
Yeah.
And then the roses.
Right.
And then when the roses die, there's something that I call the semen trees.
the acacia, the acacia, right?
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay. It's the air smells like sperm.
I got one of those right outside my window.
Sperm?
Sperm trees, yeah. yeah, it's pretty bad.
I've always kept that private, but no, I'm just going outside. That's the sign of June and that summer started is the roses die and the sperm trees start.
Yeah. And it is hot.
It's hot. Well, you're Canadian.
Right. It got hot. It got hot fast.
That was the difference in the temperature. Yeah, we actually turned on the air conditioner in our house. So I have the fans running now. It's a time of year that wife and I are fighting over the fan when we're in bed.
That reminds me, I should turn my fan down because I don't know if it's blowing into my mic.
I don't care if it is or not. It's blowing.
Yeah, keeping me cool. I'm going to turn it right down. I had it up on bust there, on full blast. I'm going to turn it down while we're recording. So
the reason I mentioned summer,
continue. Sorry.
Today's topic: summer is when a lot of ghosts come out during the summer.
Yeah, but
also what comes out during the summer is the Dark Side of Soul Ghost Walk.
That's right. Yeah.
It runs all year long. Yeah, it's our fun little walking tour you can do inside of Seoul. You can book it at darksideofseoul.com. Get more information. It's running, and we just ran through. We just verified with one of our online tourism agencies. They wanted to see if we're COVID-19 proof, and they had this checklist. And yes, we are. We basically follow a lot of these rules anyway, and the ones we have in it, we're following now. So we're pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's an outdoor walk. Wear a mask. Don't touch people.
Keep your distance.
Yeah, it just means I have to talk louder.
No problem for you.
No.
Yeah.
Also, if you're not able to join us on the tour right now, join us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/darksideofsoul, where we regularly hold horror movie watch parties and have lots of information about folklore, ghosts, and news pertaining to Korea or ghosts in general. It's an active page. It's been getting a lot more active recently.
Yeah. A lot of good posts in the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
A couple sad posts as well.
Some sad posts as well.
Some tragic things that happened here in Korea.
Yeah. It's tough to do a ghost tour when tragedy is big and then in the zeitgeist. It's like the stories I'm telling seem so trivial compared to what's happening now.
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, and we talked about this before, and I think it was the missing persons episode, whatever number that is. It helps people cope, I think, when you discuss tragedy. It helps us get through it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, today we are going to talk about different types of Korean ghosts.
And there are lots. We could do an entire podcast just on ghosts.
We're doing that now.
But I mean, episodes, various episodes.
Oh, and each individual ghost?
Yeah. We could do.
Oh, okay.
There's just so many, but this is just going to be another topic that we'll come back to in a future episode.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. Yeah.
I imagine. This is, again, the 101 overview survey.
Yeah. And I think if you do, like there are several ghost types from Korean lore that are quite well known. Especially, so many different English articles. Now, Joe, you're going to touch on a few of those. But I think, maybe when you talk a little bit more, ask now, why do you think the particular ghosts, especially the ones that you'll touch on, why do you think they're a little bit more popular than, say, other ones?
They're prettier.
Less threatening?
No. I think that something about them. I'm going to mention later. They embody Han. A lot of resentment, regret, desire for revenge, and that seems to run deeply with a lot of people. I think in the West, I think that the type of the Eastern Asian archetype, starting with the Ring. If you're thinking of the Ring, that type of ghost, I think because it was just so different than what we when the West traditionally thought of as a ghost, and it was unsettling. It's kind of like it's the uncanny valley. It seems real, but then it does something. It moves in a jerky way. Well, in the movies, it moves or acts in a way that is just slightly unnatural, and it's unsettling.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea of moving in such a way that's obviously beyond what we comprehend as natural makes things inherently weird, and then makes them frightening. Yeah, like The Exorcist spinning.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's good.
The spider walk. And all that stuff,
It's just something about it. It just seems, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot written about this. Something about young women as ghosts, or as ghosts. It just tends to ring truer to a lot of people. It tends to be more attractive. I think young people are more attracted to ghost stories in general and ghost movies. And so there's a little bit of connection there, maybe.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah, there's maybe a bit of rebellion.
You are you're a much better person to answer this question than I am.
Well, I'm the one that asked it. But I think your answer was good. I think some of these ghosts kind of do encapsulate Korean, like things that really relate to the Korean mindset. And I think they've become popular in pop culture. So there's a common theme that runs through a lot of ghosts.
Yeah.
You see, especially in the last, say, 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
In film and other fiction as well. Other Korean weird fiction.
Well, it's weird fiction, which we do talk about. You will get weird tales from Korean lore if you join our Patreon at just $5 a month. You can also upgrade if you wish, but you will get Sean's weird tales from Korean lore.
Just released this week's episode.
Only for Patreons. You will not get this
It's one a month.
Released one a month. We'll give you a taste. We're wonderful drug pushers.
All right, that's right. Right. And then you get more for every level that you upgrade to.
Yeah.
Top tier of Patreon gets 4. It's 4 of those a month.
They're
fun.
Yeah, so we're not a Patreon that's just begging for money. We actually give you extra stuff.
That's right.
Give you value.
Make us work.
I'm a horrible salesman. Anyway, let's get through. Let's talk about particular ones. Let's talk about the most popular, the most common one is the Chonyo Gishin. And by the way, ghost tends to be the word Gishin. I mean, there are other words which we discussed on the What's on Your Mind podcast, HAN, what's on your mind. We were just on that show, and I think they were releasing that. It's already been released by the time this one comes out.
Right, by the way, we released this episode,
and
yeah. Thanks to Ali and Hannah for having us on. Everyone, check out their podcast; it's really good. Great, unique way to look at Korean culture. And
history. Yeah, they're fun. And they're much smarter than me.
And both of us put together. Yeah. We talked about ghosts on their episode, and I realized after when we were chatting about that, I mentioned Quishin. I was talking about the word that's generally now the common word for ghost generally, and I mentioned how the Chinese characters indicate that there's a man wearing a mask, but I misspoke in that episode, and I said the character for Shin has that framework, that design, but it's not. I misspoke. It's Kui. It's Kui.
It's Kui. So it's not Shin Ramyun.
No. That's right. Shin is deity, and it's an entirely different character. But Kui is designed. The Chinese character is designed in such a way that it can be viewed as depicting a person wearing a mask. So bizarre.
Bizarre. So the Cheonggyeongshin, the maiden ghost or virgin ghost, unmarried girl ghost. So I guess it's assumed that if she's not married, she's a virgin. We assume.
Yeah.
Dies before marriage. And so is usually wearing the appearance, wearing a white sobok, which is like the white hanbok dress worn at death, because white is the color of mourning. MOURNING.
Right.
I want to sing
just to be sure.
Shawn and Joe in the morning. All right. For any community fans. Sometimes the sobok is covered in blood. And another sign that they're it's a young woman, unmarried, is this long hair that is not worn up.
Right.
Because only the ajima get to wear their hair up. And I would say would you say that's kind of true today in a way? That's kind of a sign of youth, is to have long, straight hair?
That's a good question. Yeah. I haven't really thought about it.
I don't know.
A lot of Korean ajima have that short, and like a lot of people call it the ajima haircut.
Yeah.
Without making it derogatory in any way, but I think it's the perm. It's the shortcut perm. Yeah. I think that's a good point. Maybe I have no idea.
I just noticed, if you go see high school kids walking down the street, tends to be no one's wearing their hair up almost.
Right. They definitely don't have a shortcut with a perm. They have ponytails and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's going to prove me wrong on that one.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, you think the long hair, disheveled, maybe covering the face, as in I don't care anymore. Another thing is sometimes they're not distinguishable from living humans, so it's not like they're transparent. They can be that way. So, like you say, it's the kind of ghost you see in the ring.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you can find them, they're usually hanging out with family and friends, or they're causing hardship to the family and the neighbors. They tend to be revolving around their family, around death. And they say that they exist there because since they couldn't take care of their father, subsequently their husband, subsequently their sons, they have not fulfilled their air quote purpose in life. They have not fulfilled their purpose. And so this creates that feeling of being wronged so strongly that they are they're leaden on the worldly plane, earthly plane. And I found a saying that says, when a woman embraces Han, frost falls on the new year. But,
that's interesting.
I don't know what that means, though. Could you explain that?
well, the New Year happening on the lunar, that'd be the Lunar New Year.
I would assume it's the Lunar New Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frost falls on the Han. Maybe it's something to do like the Groundhog Day.
It might just indicate, because there are a lot of traditions in Korea related to, of course, across the calendar. There are different events that are still observed by a lot of people. That's not particularly one that I've heard before, but there's things like if you have ice on the first day of winter, and there are cracks in the ice, those cracks are left there by dragons, and then you can use the cracks to divine the upcoming year's yield, the harvest yield. So a lot of weather related things like that. So if there's frost on the new year, maybe in some regional folk traditions, it represented that someone was wronged, and that was the representation of it. Possibly, but I don't know. Like I said, that's just my how I'm trying to rationalize it, because I've never heard it before.
Okay. Well, so Shawn, so if we are haunted by a Chonyo Guishin, how do we pacify it? How do we make them go away? Ghostbuster style.
Yeah. Well, you see, a lot of that too might depend on the region. They would have to be appeased in some way. Traditionally, in certain regions, they'd get a shaman to probably come in and do it and have an exorcism. And there are a lot of stories, a lot of folk tales that indicate that all that needs to be done is that if they died tragically, then the tragedy of their death has to be resolved. For example, if they were murdered, their murderer has to be caught, and their bodies have to be given a proper funeral. And to continue, their spirits have to continually be appeased. So that's why Koreans have ceremonies for their ancestors several times a year, praying to their ancestors. Very Confucian, but that there are also other religious ideas attached to that. Whatever wronged the Chanyakuishin has to be made right, especially if it was a murder, and they'd have to be buried properly, and they'd have to be continually appeased in some way or another. Maybe a shrine would have to be built for them, and there are shrines all over Korea that are built for virgin ghosts. And so, but there can also be different regional rituals that are dedicated to appeasing the virgin ghosts as well.
There are also more ways to reinforce the patriarchy. As in, a shaman could arrange a ghost wedding with a bachelor ghost, which is a Mongdao Guishin, or I like this word, the Chonggak Guishin. Where have I heard Chonggak before? Well, we've heard of Chonggak kimchi. Which is the radish kimchi that has the ponytail stem on it, which resembles the top knot of a bachelor. The ponytail of a bachelor. So the chonggak. Can't do that. Other ways is erect phallic sculptures. Or just anything to do with phalluses, because we love, that's what virgin ghosts really want, you could make a straw doll, made out of straw with a big schlong and put it in the coffin with her, or just make sculptures of penises, just like the one in Haesindang Park over in Samcheok.
Yep.
The penis park.
And
look it up.
Yeah. The Haesindang Penis Park, that also contains a shrine, a shamanic shrine, where rituals are held at least twice a year to still appease that ghost. So leaving everyone on a bit of a cliffhanger there. Not going to go right into rituals. That story. Yeah.
Okay.
So they can, unless you want to, because I sometimes share that on my tour. You do as well, don't you? Is that on your tour?
Yeah. I talk about it a bit. The unsatisfiable ghost.
Right.
Tough to satisfy.
Tough to satisfy.
Yep, I'm going into dangerous territory here.
Yeah. So, and a good thing to note about the Chunyakuishin is that during the Chosun dynasty, a lot of the representations of Chunyakuishin were women, like you said. But if you go farther back, there are the bachelor ghosts, like you also just mentioned. So there are a lot of tales, even aristocracy or royalty, who died virgins, and they came back as often vengeful virgin ghosts as men. It's mostly in the Chosun dynasty where we have tales where they're mostly the stories, the folk tales, involve them being women. For the most part.
Wonder why.
Yes. Yeah.
You follow us.
Yeah. Begins with a C and ends with Unfusionism.
Yeah. If you listened to us before, we've kind of pointed out, especially if you go to our history of Buddhism, point out how Confucianism was a great big setback for women in Korean history. Well, the Chosun dynasty and the Neo-Confucians.
Yeah.
Just go back at that. Yeah. Anyway, Shawn, do you have one? Do you want to?
Well, yeah. So to actually kind of tag team off of what you just shared about the Chunyakuishin. Chunyakuishin, of course, is the virgin ghost, but it's not only it's more of a subtype of ghost. There is a larger umbrella under which the Chunyakuishin follows, and that's the Wanhon. And the Wanhon can be translated to mean like haunted souls.
Okay.
And these are ghosts of people who died untimely deaths. Specifically, if they died young and didn't meet their chunsu. Now, chunsu is the idea that everyone has an allotted amount of time on Earth. And if we don't meet that time, we can become vengeful ghosts. And we come back as Wanhon. Excuse me. So now there's a large, a very long folk tale that talks about the chunsu, and I will share it in a future episode of Weird Tales from Korean Lore. But the Wanhon are these ghosts of people who died tragically, and they're susceptible. People are susceptible to becoming Wanhon, especially if they died tragically. So dying young and dying tragically. So like virgin ghosts. And also from speaking of Weird Tales from Korean Lore, I think it's the second episode where I share the tale of Arang. And Arang is kind of the quintessential virgin ghost. So she's murdered. I'm not going to go into the whole tale. I'm going to
down over Milyang, right?
It's down to Milyang. That's right. So the Arang-gak is the shrine that was built for her, and it's still there. It's not the original one, but there is a shrine that is still there to honor her ghost. So she was murdered, and she was young at the time. She was a teenager, not married, and she used her supernatural powers as a Wanhon, as a ghost, to help a young magistrate, to find her killer. And there's more details than that to the story, but I want to kind of encourage everyone to go and listen to the Weird Tales from Korean Lore episode where I share that. I think that might be a public episode, so you won't have to
you
sign
can
up.
find that on patreon.com/darksideofsoul. You can find that. Yeah.
Right. If you look through there. So that's something. So the Wanhon are the famous, Chunyakuishin are the famous type of Wanhon. Now, another kind of well-known Wanhon tale is connected to the Imjin War. The Imjin War.
Is there an H in there?
I mispronounced. I said Imjin War. Imjin War. I've been up since 5 o'clock. Leave me alone. Don't turn me into a Wanhon. So during the Hideyoshi invasion, 1592, when Japan invaded Korea with the final purpose of trying to conquer
In
China.
1592, what did Hideyoshi do?
Yeah, that's right. He attacked. And so there is a story that's supposedly set in 1592 with a administrator named Gwangjong. And Gwangjong set up a trick to keep the Japanese away, especially in places called Dakshil Naru or Dakshil Wharf. And what he did to try to trick the Japanese from invading that area, because there was a fortress in the area, he muddied the waters to have the Japanese believe that the water was too deep to cross this river. But as the Japanese were on the other side of the river, on the other bank, looking across, thinking, this is too deep for us to cross here. We have no boats. How are we going to get across? They saw a young woman walking across the river. And they're like, wait a minute. That's not deep at all. So they crossed the river and they attacked the fortress and they overtook the region. What had happened was that woman was a Chenya-Quishin. She was a Wonhon. And it was the ghost of a woman who loved Gwangjong, the administrator of the region, but he didn't love her back. It was unrequited love. So she committed suicide. And potentially as a way to show her anger towards Gwangjong, she became a treasonous ghost. And she sold out her kingdom to the Japanese and let them know that the river was actually not deep at all. It was very shallow, and so they could cross. So if you visit the area today, there is a stele, there is a shrine and whatnot that's there to honor Gwangjong. But I'm not sure if I think they might retell the story on the sign there. But the general idea is that, and it's been told for a very long time, that particular folktale highlights, for me anyway, why folktales have to be updated. They have to change with time. Because they're originally an oral tradition, so they change with region and they change over time. It's a heritage, so when it's received, they can be updated. Now, this wasn't the case in all places. Ireland actually has, or certain regions of Ireland have very well-established folk stories and communities of storytellers that make sure that the stories don't change, or they at least used to. But a lot of these stories have to change because this story of Gwangjong and the Wonhon ghost of the woman who loved him and didn't get his love back, selling out her nation, her kingdom, really indicates for the people in the past that women can't be trusted. And that was the whole point of that, where you have to be careful of her broken heart. So, so while it's an interesting story, it's outdated. It doesn't mesh very well with our modern thinking. So I just wanted to share that to generally discuss Wonhon, and that's the type of ghost that Chenya-Quishin are, and to highlight that sometimes folk tales do have to change. And that's a good example of the type of things that have to change within versions of stories. So there you go with the Wonhon.
All right. Okay. Well, so speaking of water.
There you go. That's a good segue.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Mulguishin, which are the water ghosts, which is another ghost you will see in pop culture. Their appearance, they're very wet. Wet. Pale skin. They have unusually long arms. They tend to be women, again. One source I read speculated because water symbolizes women's genitalia. Just answer it in your mind. Don't say it out loud. Okay.
Possibly that might be the folkloric root. Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Where do they hang out? Well, obviously water. Anywhere there's water, lakes, rivers, oceans, abandoned wells, as in The Ring, and bathtubs. Like Yeah, bathtubs. And they are why are they in the water? Well, likely because they died from drowning. And we've had lots of drownings, especially. Well, we've had lots of tragic drownings lately in the past few years. So that's been a topic of Mulgrishin. The Mulgrishin cannot accept that they're dead, like a lot of ghosts. And shamans say that the ghosts ride this negative energy that becomes stronger than the ground and the water. And I'm wondering if that's a way to explain the undertow or the rip currents in ocean waters or in strong currents in rivers.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually in horror movies, you only see parts of them. You just see the top of the head or the arms reaching out. And they want to pull in swimmers or people in boats because, they're lonely. Also, they might be thinking that's a way to get out of their situation. And there's also a phrase in Korean called it's Mugishin Jokjon, which means water ghost tactics. As in, if you're having a bad day and you're dragging someone down with you, Mugishin Jokjon. Or you're just having really bad luck, or you're falling from grace in politics, and you're bringing everyone down with you. That's a water ghost tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's a great phrase.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that phrase stems from folklore. I love that.
Oh,
yeah.
Also in pop culture, if you watched old Saturday Night Live, there's a sketch called "All Nuts, Mom's a Ghost." And the ghost is Mulgrishin.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No.
And
what era of SNL was that?
I have to go check. I think it was. I want to say the 2000s, or
okay.
I want to say that. And the shaman on the broadcast said that the Mulgrishin is considered the most because she considers it the most terrifying ghost. And the second is the Chonyo Gishin, the virgin ghost. I guess because maybe most terrifying to exercise because she has to get in the water to do it. And there are a few urban legends like saying if you see black seaweed floating in the water, people say that's the ghost hair.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I like that one.
She's chilling out, just having a seat, and her hair's floating to the top.
There are another urban legend, 3 rules to avoid Mulgrishin. Do not drink and go in the water. Don't go into the water at night or on a rainy day. And do not touch or rescue a drowning victim that looks like they're standing straight up, because the human body does not naturally do that.
Help me.
They say that the Hongcheon River, Hongcheongang over in Gangwon-do, there are frequent drownings in that river, and they said they blame that on the Mulgrishin pulling people down. When actually, I think
really?
it's a strong current. It's like
I've never heard that. Interesting.
Yeah. Road trip.
Let's go. Joe, we could easily take a road trip and just not get out of the car into big crowds. Yeah.
But I'm just saying. I did a little bit of research on Hongcheon, the area around Hongcheon-gun itself, and it's good for a day trip. There's some stuff around there. I think
we could do a driving in Korea episode on the trip.
That'd be a good one. One. I'm wondering, because I've gone whitewater rafting twice, and I'm wondering if we went around there.
Yeah, that's up closer to me, isn't it? A little bit farther north of you. I mean,
what, Hongcheon?
Yeah. No. You said Hong. You said Hongcheon.
Gangwon-do.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Hongcheon. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are ways to pacify the Mulgrishin. So they call the Soul Walk, the Nokgori. I can.
Nokgori.
No. Yeah. There's a silent S. There's a silent S in there.
Nokgori. Yeah,
No,
kori,
kori.
like koraga. Yeah, walking.
Um, you feel like like the brass ball. Like when do you get Jeonju bibimbap, that type of ball, or the one that's using jesa?
Mm.
You fill it with hipsal, the new harvest rice, fresh rice, and then you throw stones, you put stones in a clean cloth and you throw it in there, or you get parts of the drowned person like the teeth or the nails or the hair, and you throw that in there, and so this supposed to help them gain the strength to leave their situation and go up to heaven.
Mm.
Do you have anything to go with that?
Um,
Because this
not
is
not
me
spe-
badly translating Korean, figuring that one out.
no. Yeah, I think no, that's fine. No, I think that's pretty much everything with the mulkwishin. I think the mulkwishin represents a really interesting aspect of folk belief because while it is a ghost that a lot of shamans suggest are real. A lot of the aspects, the behavioral ideas attached to the mulkwishin are very obviously to me anyway, very obvious to me to be warnings. Like don't swim at night. Of course, you be very careful if you swim at night. Don't swim.
Yeah.
Don't swim in the rain. Don't get in the water because there might be a lightning storm.
I think like Jaws and Friday the 13th kind of cover this too. a little bit of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Friday the 13th is a bit more going back to your Chenya Quishin. Don't mess around.
That is true.
Yeah, because think who survives.
Yeah.
In the first few movies. Anyway.
What's it called? The Last Girl?
The Last Girl or Final Girl.
Final Girl.
Yeah, she's usually the nice one. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's a American horror movie trope. That's definitely
and Alien.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, but Ripley's a badass
in the second one, but she's kind of the final girl in the first one.
Oh yeah, she's tough as.
But goes to character growth. Yeah, goes to character growth.
Yeah. So, and then she becomes impregnated with an alien herself. Impregnated. She in Alien 3.
Oh God!
And then she comes back in Resurrection.
I'm one of those people that's kind of very forgiving of a lot of movie franchises, but I'm one of those people that believes that Alien 3 did not exist.
I don't think they exist after 2. And I don't think Aliens is half as good as Alien. Alien is a far superior film.
Well, yeah. Well, they're different genres.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. But we digress. Yeah. So something, speaking of the mulkwishin, so I have a ghost to mention here that is a different kind of different kind of liquid, but I'm going to share it in the form of a weird tale from Korean lore.
Okay.
The way I do my series. So this is a bonus episode for everybody. This is going to be for our patrons first, of course, but everyone's going to get this on their when this is public. So I'm not going to talk about the ghost itself. I'm just going to go right into the folk tale, and then we can discuss it after. Okay, I'm going to get my mic all set. Okay, I'm going to get some water. A little bit dry today. Had meetings all morning. I'm a little bit talked out.
I have meetings after this.
Oh, okay. All right. Long ago, there lived an old man who was very sick and on the brink of death. His son was determined to find a cure, and so he traveled the entire kingdom in search of a miraculous medicine. In time, the son met a wise old doctor who said the livers of 3 types of men would cure his father, should the father consume them. The types of men were a scholar, a clown, and a madman. Desperate to save his father, the sun set out to find a scholar, a clown, and a madman, and to kill them. Once the deeds were done, the sun removed the livers from each victim and fed them to his father. Soon, his father fully recovered. The sun buried the 3 victims in a single grave, one atop the other. The madman on the bottom, the clown in the middle, and the scholar on top. Over time, wheat began to grow on the grave mound of the 3 men. Discovering this, the sun, the murderer, cut the wheat and made liquor. The son drank 1 cup of the strong booze and was able to speak with clarity on many pressing issues, just like a scholar. The son drank a 2nd cup of the drink, and he began to dance and sing about happily, just like a clown. The son downed a 3rd cup of the liquor, after which he grew discontent and violent, just like a madman. And so it was that the wheat he had cut, having grown out of the bodies of his murder victims, contained their ghosts, and they haunted him one by one as the Sulquishen, the alcohol ghost. And that's the tale.
Different type of spirit.
Different type of spirit. The Sulquishen. One of my favorites, and no one really ever talks about it anymore. I love that story. Now and again, I'll share that if I'm out drinking. Now sometimes, Joe, I know you do this more often than I do. We
drink?
Sometimes, go drinking with our tour guests after the Dark Side tour.
Oh, yeah. Now you're telling everyone. Now everyone's going to expect me to go drinking with them after a tour.
So now and again, that's kind of if I do that, which isn't often, but I'll share that just as we're about to drink. Share that story.
Oh,
so that's the Sulquishen, and that is a story. That is an old story from lore. So, before we talk about it, there's a couple things to note. The idea of clown is different. Clown can mean entertainer, or especially those who traveled with troops. Especially towards the end of the Joseon dynasty, the traveling troops of entertainers. A lot of them were like jesters and clowns.
Jesters. I was thinking of Bottom the Weaver from Midsummer Night's Dream, or the Korean movie The King and the Clown.
Yes, right. That's Wangi Namja. That's right. Yeah, the King's Men. That's the Korean title translates to. So yeah, it's not clown in the Western sense. And also, one other note is that there is a clown deity, a jester deity.
Oh my goodness, really?
It's the Changbu or the Changbu Shi. Shi meaning like sir. Or
are
like
there any shrines to this one?
Yes, yeah, there are. There are also folk paintings. The Changbu Shi. So it's the god or the deity of entertainment, and he's appeased. He's given appeasement through offerings of food, rice, and things like that. And when they hold ceremonies to honor him, the music and the entertainment has to be really, really loud and ruckus and then fun. That's the whole point.
I want to give like offerings of rubber chickens,
whoopee cushions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the Changbu Shi. So and also he's considered to be a protector god as well. So in some traditions, when he's appeased, he offers protection. Probably because the idea of these clowns they were traveling performers, so they needed protection when they were traveling. So yeah, just a comment quickly on that, and to give everyone another deity from Korean folklore.
Opposite of Pennywise.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I really love that, the Sulquishen. So there's some commentary in that folktale, obviously.
Yeah, don't kill people.
Well, yeah, and I was going to get to that and say that's actually not the commentary. Don't kill people, but yeah. So the commentary is on one of the points of commentary is be moderate in your drinking, because eventually you'll become a madman.
Well, that is true. Those are the stages of drunkitude. Yeah.
So clarity. And I find that if I have a drink or two, I can chat clear.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit tired now. I've been up for hours and busy. I got a bunch of research and studying to do when we're done here. So I still have a long day ahead. I'm feeling a little bit sleepy. But if I had a beer, I should have poured a beer before we started recording. If I had a beer, I'd be clear as anything.
Huh.
Do you find that as well? If you have a beer, not too much, like just a single cup of
sometimes, yeah. When I was drinking, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then by the time
I had to clear my head a bit and brush off the dust of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the time you get to, like, say the second drink or so, you're midway through your drinking session. If you haven't consumed too much, you're a little bit goofy. You're having fun,
laughing,
and
goofy,
singing.
yeah.
And then by the end, for a lot of people, they become aggressive. I don't. I just become sleepy and chatty and talk about horror movies and folklore and the sort. So there's a great commentary in that tale about the moderation that's required when you drink, and don't kill people, or at least don't bury them all in the same grave
and make booze from the weeds
that's right. Yeah.
So wheat. It sounds like a type of. Well, it's not. There is a type of makgeolli, but I'm thinking of a type. It might be a yakju he was drinking. Or
you mean?
Trying to think of what he was drinking that was made
in the tale. Yeah, if there's any versions of that tale that specify what he's drinking, it would probably be regional, because a certain drink might be more popular in one region than it is in another. So it would just be regional.
I find this really interesting too. If you want to learn more, you go to the Seoul Company, SOOL, theseoulcompany.com. Julia is doing all these great videos and articles about that.
What's her name? Julia Meller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Sulquishin. One of my favorite, my buddy, the Sulquishin. And everyone got a little extra there. The Changbu Shi, the god, the deity of entertainment, the clown god. So,
loving it.
Okay, Joe, what else you got? Let's do one more each.
That's all I got. Yeah.
That's all you got? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Give me one more.
I'll give you one more. I like this one because it really indicates how, in times past anyway, Koreans would often associate illness to ghosts and for example, or demons of some sort, evil spirits. And we talked about this I think on a couple, maybe warding off evil episode. We talked about the Sal and things like that. So one of the ghosts that I really like, I like the folkloric content behind this ghost, is the Dangui, or the Danquishin, and this was said to be the ghost of shingles, having that ailment, shingles. So it was believed that if someone had shingles, the person who would be able to pull it was because of a ghost. They had shingles because a ghost was in their home. So they'd have a ritual called the danjapki, and japki means to catch. So they'd go through the home looking for the place where the dangui, the danquishin, may be hiding or has established itself, and they would lure it out using ogokbap, the 5-grain rice,
which is yummy.
So, delicious, yeah. And one significant thing is that this is another important aspect of this particular folk belief, is that each individual grain or a type of grain would have to come from a different home. So 5 different households would have to provide a different grain each to make the ogokbap, the 5-grain rice. So that really indicated how important community was in times past. And everyone would get involved for like the healing of people, not just, helping them in any way they could, but even in their folk beliefs about ghosts, to get together and help people get better. So it's a beautiful aspect of communal belief and thoughts. So that's another reason why I like this particular tale. So they would take the ogokbap and put it in a giant, not a cauldron, but I'm blanking on what they're called. Like a chapshi. I'm thinking of the Korean.
Sukama?
No.
Tupegi?
Yes, tupegi. And I kept thinking chapshi. I could only think of the Korean.
Chapshi plate?
Yeah. So they put in this giant jar, and then when it was believed that the dangui was attracted to the ogokpap, the 5-grain rice, it would enter the jar, and they would put the lid on and tie it shut, and then bury it. Then it was believed to be gone, and then that would be the first step taken to see if the person who had shingles would be cured. So that's an example of communal belief and using community to help people get better, and how their communal beliefs involved evil spirits.
That reminds. That was I was laughing earlier because a friend of mine used to live in Korea, Robert Bevan, who writes all these comedy fantasy novels. He has a kind of a subgenre of his novels that are parodies of the old Goosebumps series, and they're called Shingles.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to look that up.
Look it up. It's once you get used to his style, it's really funny stuff.
Right. And that reminds me, my daughter's birthday was just a couple of weeks ago, and her nan, my mom, bought her a couple of comic books, and one of them is a little kid's Goosebumps comic. She's all into spooky stuff. She's taken after daddy. It's all natural. And it's not like I never pushed it on her. And my wife's like, what the hell, man? She's like, she's making up all of her own ghosts and stuff. You're
so proud, man. That's awesome.
She just made up, and I'm calling this Korea's newest folk spirit. She calls it the Sendite. She has a name for it. And she describes it in certain ways. It has a lot of arms, and it does certain things. She says it bites off your finger, and it poisons you, and you die very slowly from the poison.
Wow. And that's her imaginary friend.
Yeah, well, it'd be like Jody from the pig demon from Amityville Horror.
Oh my!
Hopefully not. But Amityville Horror was complete nonsense. It was a sham. We
can't have one show without you trashing a horror movie.
Well, it was said to be. I don't mean the movie. I mean the idea. The Warrens were frauds. They're fraudsters. Fred and Elaine Warren, fraudsters. Anyway, that's Korea's newest ghost, the Sendite. And
that's cool. The Sendite.
Yeah. We got to read the Goosebumps. Start reading the Goosebumps comic this weekend, I think.
And then you can get a few copies of Shingles.
And a few copies of Shingles. Okay, Robert Bevan. I think just kind of to cap off the episode, unless you have anything else to add, Joe?
That's it.
Okay. I think something to cap this off that's from a historic point of view that's very important and quite interesting is that Korean belief in deities, gods. So the earliest animistic beliefs that we know of from people who lived on the peninsula here, so the very early Koreans, dates back to the Neolithic age. So if we consider that the oldest discovered pottery on the peninsula dates back about 10,000 years, Koreans have been believing in evil spirits for at least that amount of time, maybe a little bit longer. So Neolithic Koreans had these beliefs, and the idea of gods, especially in the early days, was animistic. So the sun was a sun deity, but all these evil spirits that could intermingle among men and women and children and deal them misfortune and death in the worst case scenario date back in Korean ancient culture. Of course, it's not a shared culture, but it's ancient culture, at least 10,000 years. And I think that's very interesting.
That is.
Mm-hmm. So that's the precursor to Korea's modern animistic, what is not modern, but what's continually believed within the animistic and shamanic points of view and beliefs of Koreans.
Yeah. Just to point out, animism is the belief that like every inanimate object like actually has a spirit inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's still a tenet of animism in Korea today, shamanism. Mm.
Well, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for staying with us for so long. Hope you learned a little something. I sure did.
That was fun. I like talking about ghosts.
Yeah. Which is why we run a ghost tour, the Dark Side of Soul Ghost Walk. Just reminding you, you can still join us and, have join Shawn in the Seoul Grishin
afterwards.
Yeah.
But I do discuss 4 other types of evil, well, ghosts generally. Not all of them are evil on the dark side on my version of the Dark Side of Soul tour.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it depends on how many drinks Shawn has, how many ghosts he'll talk about.
And you can, we can chat about the Seoul Quishin a little bit more if you take me out for drinks after.
Yeah, there we go. So you can go to darksideofsoul.com. We like to our music for the show is created by Sorak-san, which you can find on bandcamp.com. I think it is under Jeju Digital, Jeju. This is good stuff. I like listening to it.
I saw Sorak-san on the weekend.
You did.
Yeah, he's got a lot of music. He's working on a lot of stuff.
Cool.
A lot of it is the exclusive stuff just for us.
And I like it how a lot of it's based on traditional Korean music. It's interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
And also remind you, we do have Patreon at patreon.com/darksideofsoul, where you can join us and get all this extra stuff. And if you want to be a top tier patron, just like Angel Earl, Joel Bonamini, Jamie Staley, and Sharon Cullen, you can join us. Like, you get extra stuff. I just sent out some new swag for them, and we have a 1 monthly chat on Zoom together, and it's really fun. It's really fun. You can join all of us there.
Great times.
Yeah. It's the cool kids table.
Joe's sitting at the head.
No, Joe. Yeah, Joe's there, but you guys, it's a bunch of people with the same interests and just nerding out on this.
Bunch of geeks.
It's really fun. It's really fun. Yeah. It's not, they're not snobbish at all. It's just enthusiasts, it's fans, just geeking out.
That's right, geeking out about history and supernatural stuff, paranormal stuff, folklore. It's great.
And how to pronounce Joel's name.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I love it. Yeah, it'd be good if we get more people in the top tier to join us in these chats.
It'll be fun.
Great fun.
It'll be fun. Well, thank you for listening. Join us next time. Until then, stay spooky.
Good night.